Hello all, welcome to today's episode of AI Rapid Fire series, where we cut through the noise and dive into how AI is truly transforming industries. So I am Aditya, today's host from Pronix, and today's episode is all about elevating customer experience in aviation industry with AI. So we have a special guest with us, Amin Lalani from Delta Airlines. Amin, are you ready to tackle 8 high impact questions in under 15 minutes?
Let's do it.
Thank you. Amin, before we get started, Amin, could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Aditya, for having me on. For those who don't know me, my name is Amin. As Aditya mentioned, I lead our airport digital tools. So everything, if you think about the day of travel experience for Delta, from the time you enter the airport setting to the lobbies, to the sky clubs, as well as the gates and the need help centers, I help drive a lot of the product and innovation in that space. And my background, of course, is in addition to that, in the product side, management consulting, finance. So good to be with you today.
Great. Now let's jump into the first question. So, Amin, what's the most exciting way your team is currently using AI to improve passenger experience?
Yeah. So from the Delta perspective, early this year, we had announced Delta Concierge. And Delta Concierge is an AI-powered assistant device tool that will be essentially used alongside the customer's experience from curb to seat. So if you think about enabling and calling our Uber services in anticipation of the trip, looking at potential disruptions and auto rebooking capabilities. So really giving the customers the entirety of their experience in their Fly Delta app. And so that's something we're really excited about.
Love it. AI that makes travelers smoother.
Absolutely.
Like hearing about automatic bookings and all. So jump into the next one. So how is AI driving more personalized services for travelers from booking to in-flight experience?
Yeah, really the idea is, right, we know our travelers continue on the journey of the airport. It is a stressful time. And so what we want to do is de-stress that experience. And so the idea of tailoring based on your preferences, based on your needs and the desires of your pattern, right? So we want to be able to understand how you are going to be anticipating potential traffic on your way to the airport. And so looking at data across the lens of the enterprise is really going to help to, delayer a lot of those services. And ultimately what we want to do is give the power back to the customer, right? We know that they want to make the choices on their own that fits their needs at that time. And so we want to be able to take those capabilities that drive that experience and really give them at their fingertips. And so those are some of the areas we're going to be looking at.
Personalized travel at its best. So next. In your view, how can AI improve proactive communication during disruptions like delays or cancellations of flights?
Yeah. So we know, operations, there are a lot of things that are outside of the uncontrollables, right? And then how do we manage through that is a bit tough. But really the concept is how can we predict early on, right? And with that prediction, whether that prediction is rebooking Aditya on another flight, knowing that there may be some anticipated weather or air traffic control delays that may happen, or, once we have that capability, then we want to inform you and say, Aditya, you're going to experience this. Here are some other options, right? So really what we want to do is shift from the customer being stressed to the customer solutioning, right, from that experience.
I like it. Transparency in the skies. Moving on. So what role is AI playing in transforming common traveler pain points like baggage drop and gate changes likewise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is interesting because, we've launched from the enterprise side what we call the app backdrop experience as well as touchless ID. And so we understand that as much as we can, reducing that friction in that first airport journey is crucial. And as we think about the overall experiences, how do we predict, again, those gate changes that may happen based on flight delays, based on other airlines using the gates? So having the optimization built in will really help the operations ultimately to make those decisions and those changes.
Yeah. Fewer delays, happier travelers, like.
Absolutely. Always.
Let's keep going. So how is AI helping airports and airlines manage real-time operational changes more efficiently?
Yeah, so I like to kind of think of, from an ops perspective, AI as a conductor of an orchestra, right? That plays, in an orchestra, you have a lot of different instruments and a lot of different bands. And so I look at operations as sort of the orchestra where you have gates, where you have the tower, where you have our crew, right? Where you have our customers as well as our employees and our airport agents. The idea really is the orchestra is playing, right? So the conductor knows where they want to go next. And so taking that model and then being able to communicate and saying, you know what, we're going to see that one particular area of the operation is going to be impacted. So we need to go ahead and pivot now. And so bringing that ability and synchronizing all that and to then ultimately defining that as a proactive recovery for the operations, but ultimately communicating that recovery in terms of, the next best action for the customer. So that's where I kind of see AI playing that pivotal role.
Absolutely. Efficiency at its peak. So here is the next one. So how do you balance AI automation with human touch points to ensure a premium travel experience?
Yeah. And I think, as a service business, people will always be at the core, right? And we fundamentally believe that. And that service and hospitality has to come with the people. So there's no two ways about that. Really what we want to be able to do is take those transactional natures of work, right? So really pivoting our people from transactional to relational. And so being able to build that relationship with Aditya, knowing that he's come through a misconnect, or we know that he had a pretty difficult experience getting into LaGuardia. That's really where we want to amplify AI to give them that ability, give our agents that ability to know and understand Aditya, right? Using the technology, but then ultimately using the people to help drive that level of service.
A great mix of tech and human touch.
Yes.
So let's continue. From your perspective, what emerging AI trends should aviation industry leaders watch in next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, so I think some of the themes that are sort of emerging in this space, right, is how do we build a frictionless experience, right, at the airport for our customers? So really the capability of biometrics continues to be expanded, as we talked about earlier, especially in the lobby settings with bags and such. But then also moving forward towards security, right? We see a lot of innovation out there in the security space of literally making that security experience frictionless as well. The other one is really around, we touched on this earlier, personalization, right? Knowing Aditya at his best, knowing and understanding what his preferences are. Maybe he enjoys that window seat, right? Or we make sure that we are giving him the right recommendation. If Aditya loves his Caribbean islands and his weather there, then being able to say, you know what, would you be interested in pursuing a travel arrangement in a market in that space, right? So really looking at personalization at scale across the entire ribbon from shopping to the time you arrive at your destination. So it's going to be another big theme that continues to emerge. And I think the last area is, or not last, but a couple of the other ones are probably including how do we manage the unexpected? Because one thing when we talk about operations is change. Things will always change in an operational environment in which there's a lot of those uncontrollables. But then ultimately, how do we manage that gracefully through that change, right? So as I mentioned, the synchronization of the conductor and the orchestra is going to be a big part of it. And I think the last piece is really safety, right? Safety is going to be core as we think about this, and not just, of course, individual safety as well, but then also making sure that our safety for our crew, safety for our fleet. So looking at areas of autonomous vehicles, robotics, right? That can really help drive that safety experience without compromising the human ultimately at that scale.
I agree. Safety is very crucial while traveling in the skies. Exciting times ahead. And let's wrap this up with the last question. So what advice would you give to the aviation teams just starting their journey with AI-powered customer experience and operations?
Yeah, and it's funny, the conventional thinking is start small, do things fast, right? But I think I'm going to reverse the order a little bit. It's start with your people. I think ultimately any area where you're trying to innovate in a space, you have to make sure the folks who are going to help you or are going to be part of the process are on board, right? I think what I tend to see, and in general, one of the key areas of failures is we have this big, bold vision, but then as it comes down, it reaches the people last. I think I kind of want to convert that inversely and say, start with your people, find your evangelizers, find those individuals in your organizations who are going to promote you, who are going to promote the vision, right? So that way you can spread that message and then bring them along on the vision, and then ultimately go and test out the waters and then see what's out there. But of course, do it with the right set of guardrails in place, so that way you don't compromise those areas of privacy and security as well.
I like it the way you're putting people first. So great advice, Amin. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for your insights today. Yeah, 8 rapid fire questions full of insights, Amin. Thank you for sharing how AI is revolutionizing the aviation industry and enhancing the passenger experience.
Thank you, Aditya, for having me, and best of luck to everybody in their journeys.
So, viewers, if you found this series helpful, make sure to follow us and tune into our next AI Rapid Fire series. Stay tuned on LinkedIn and YouTube or wherever your brain goes for a workout. Until next time, stay curious, stay human, and stay ahead. Thank you.